Hey, and welcome to Soul. More importantly, welcome to Real Stories from Real People. My name is Myrna. Hi, I'm the M behind Mind, Body, Soul by M. I use M because a lot of people can't pronounce Myrna or Myrna, and while it's always funny when I go to Starbucks, it's more difficult to build a connection with people when people can't really remember your name. I should be going by Myrna and not M. Working on getting the name known, maybe, but yeah, that's my failure and I'm working on it. On that note, welcome to my story and lessons on failure. And here's the thing about failure. Sometimes it comes when you expect it, and sometimes it hits you out of absolutely nowhere. So far this year, I have failed my driving test, failed the certification I needed to pass for work, failed at my relationship, failed at starting a small business, and I even failed at selling my clothes on eBay. But here's the thing, with each of those, I have an anecdote, and it really became quite an eye-opening experience. Failure pretty much sucks, but it's also a great educator. We learn by failings, as all the greats will tell you, and it's true that none of them have not failed. Sure, some people get lucky on the first try, but it's really the grit that gets them there more than the luck. It's also the mindset, the belief. Now that won't always work out. And I'd like to walk you through what I've learned this year by failing. I have been driving for 10 years now. In Egypt, where people drive like they're on a literal highway to hell. I come to the UK, and suddenly everything's on the left. Weird, I know. But here's where failure comes in. I had been driving for 10 years, right? I practiced very little and kept convincing myself I would pass. I've been doing this forever. And the funny thing is, I almost did. But I could have practiced, and I could have done better if I actually did put in a little bit more work. I didn't. I absolutely failed the exam. And so lesson number 1 about failure is just because your mind is in it doesn't mean you are. You have to put the work in. Sometimes you will put the work in. You'll pull all-nighters, head to your nearest gales and study for hours like I did for my certification. You'll be well rested and ready to ace your exam, pass the bar, get the certification so you can get that nice little badge and post it on your LinkedIn. Sometimes you'll still fail even with all that. And I'd like to pause and tell the story of someone really close to me who wanted to become a doctor so bad, she repeated her senior year just to get a better grade and get into med school. Despite all of her friends having graduated and despite knowing that she did not get there, she failed. Lesson number 2 is, if you really want it, failure won't stop you. Then there's the things that are sometimes outside of our control. I was in a very loving relationship for the past year, and one day I got a phone call, and just like that, cue the Sex and the City theme song, we broke up. The relationship was great, but flawed like many are, and I have no regrets. I couldn't save it. While heartbreak is inevitable, what I've learned from failing at love is that number 3, sometimes you fail at something because it's not for you. A few years back, I did the same for law school. I did horribly on the LSAT, and today I am so grateful because law school was definitely not for me. Now, what I know is for a fact for me, at least I hope still is something I'm still in the process of learning and doing, and that's starting a small business. I got so excited to make journals because I'm just always journaling and I spent so much money on samples and I do it all the time and it's like ingrained in my personality. But then I realized I don't even have a following, I don't have a target audience, let alone a business model. So lesson number 4 is come prepared. But even if you are prepared, come prepared for failure. Failure is also quite funny sometimes. I tried to sell clothes on eBay that I bought online and couldn't return. I did the whole thing, made an account, I posted the items, and then I found out that my account got suspended. I phoned customer support, I emailed, I went through my account trying to figure out if maybe I'd gotten hacked. I was then told that I had been suspended for life. It sounded like a death sentence, really. And I mean, this is eBay we're talking about. When I asked for a reason, I was told they couldn't give me one. Ha! Today, it makes for a great anecdote. What I always tell myself is, one day if I do decide to start a business and it becomes really successful, I constantly envision myself at a talk show, teaching about success, talking about how I got banned from eBay. And yet here I am. So lesson number 5, failure makes for the best stories. Remember to always put your best in, but embrace failure. Ahead, it's just growth. Thanks for joining me on Real Stories with real people telling real stories, and I'll see you next week on a new episode of Soul.